friends, it's the Mrs. Wolfie from our half-acre homestead. Well, I was canning yesterday and freezing and chopping and all that stuff, so I decided to make some potato soup. Potato cheese soup. I get started on the rest of the onions. I'm going to start tomorrow's soup. We're going to have potato soup tomorrow. It's one of Howie's favorites. Got some water in the clean water in the crock pot here. Okay, we've got the bigger cutter for the lid. And first things first, okay, we're going to take out Mr. Mini here. Put in Mr. Medium. And I'm going to... Where's my knife? There's my knife. And this is, you don't even need half the stuff I put in. When I was a kid, and I remember Dad was doing renovations. There was 5 kids in my family. So it took my parents quite a while to get to the point. They bought a house that was on the point of being condemned, down the street from my mom's parents, from my grandparents. And then, you know, they just patched, they did the best they could to make it livable. They patched everything up. And then by the time I was 4 or 5 years old, they were ready for renovation. So there's some celery in there. Now, where'd that peeler go? There it is. Oh, I'm making potato soup for tomorrow. And I could have done it today, but I would have had to do it at started at 5 o'clock this morning. So when I was a kid and we were renovating, I remember 2 meals that we seemed to eat the most of. Well, 3 if you count breakfast. Fried smelts, and potato soup and porridge for breakfast. Because they'd spent so much money budgeting to redo the walls from old lathing and plaster to drywall in the living room and dining room, which really wasn't a dining room. It was an extension of our living room. And my mother would make potato soup if they were really broke. My mom would make potato soup. And and the trick to good potato soup, especially if you're broke, is putting as many onions in as potatoes. And then you cook it long and slow. And then just before you serve it, you add milk and butter. A bit of butter if you got it. But my mom would make potato soup out of potatoes, water, and onions and powdered milk. But I'll tell you something. I didn't necessarily like it when I was a kid. I love it now, and it's one of Howie's favorites. One of his favorite meals all together. But I'll finish this recipe tomorrow so that you guys can see. All right, I will make this a video from here. Okay. One onion. But I put cheese in mine. Whoops. Alrighty. I'm going to take this over to the sink and rinse it all, and I'll be right back. Cold water. Always start with cold water. There we go. Look at that. Even if it's just potatoes, onions, and celery, it still looks delicious. And if you want to add extra nutrition, then start with cold broth. But in reality, you really don't need. This is real simple when you're broke. It's onions, celery, and you don't even have to have the celery. Onions, celery, and potatoes. Depending on the size of your potatoes, you want 1 potato per person. Depending on the size of your onion, half a teaspoon there of salt. And then we're going to put this over and get it. I'm sorry, folks. I'm doing this one-handed because I'm filming with my phone. This has been cooking all night. All right, let's just mash some of those potatoes. It's a nice dark color from the onions and the celery. So this is practically stew, this potato soup. But we want to get, if you have instant mashed potatoes, you can thicken it with that. But I don't have any instant mashed potatoes. And this is plenty thick enough. Now, you have two options here. You can do a bechamel cheese sauce, like a white sauce with cheese, or a cheese sauce, and then add it in just before you eat, or you can do what I'm going to do. I'm putting some sharp cheddar in there. We're going to turn this down to low. I'm going to put this sharp cheddar in there to melt. And when it's all melted, we're going to add some cream. So I turned this down after I put the cheese in it, so the cream wouldn't curdle when I put it into the pot, okay? So here's what we're going to do. This is really dark because it's stewed all night. We're going to put in about a cup of half and half cream. Oh yeah. See, and the cheese has not see, it's nice and hot, but the cheese has not completely broke down. Look at that. We're going to get Papa a plate of that, and we'll see what he has to say. Now, let's take that to Papa and see what he has to say about this soup. Now, normally my potato cheese soup is a lot lighter in color, but again, the potatoes and the onions stewed with celery all night, so that's what's giving it this lovely golden color. All the flecks of cheese in there. Oh yeah, it's that time of year again. As soon as Papa's got the fire going, he's got into his comfies, he'll eat his soup. So, this is your first potato soup of the year. It's gold because of that I stewed the potatoes overnight with celery and onions. And then it's just cheese and half cream. Got to have 2 swallows before you even answer, right? And you can't give any to Gracie, but maybe tip a little corner of the bread in the soup and give it to her. Oh, there you go. Yum, 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 yum. This is the Mrs. Wolfie from our half-acre homestead saying, no, it's not the first soup of the year, of the season, but it's Papa's favorite first soup of the season. Got the fire going, time for potato soup. Mwah! Take care, God bless, and you can make it as cheap or as rich as you like. But remember,